That's my intro music, me whistling. We're live. So, hi people watching this back, because that's the only people who will see this. People who watch it back after it's on YouTube. As people get the notifications through YouTube and various social media, they'll hopefully join me. But I have a little bit of time to talk just to people who watch this back later. And hey, speaking of notifications, there's the whole thing. You know, like if you subscribe on YouTube, and nowadays there's that little bell thing that gives you the notifications, then you'll know when I either post a live video or a pre-recorded video, and you can get in on the action so much quicker. Yep. Philosopher. You must be saying yes to the notifications, I guess. It's a Sunday evening here in Australia. It's time to just chill out, like the weekend's finishing. Gotta just ease it out of it and get ready for another work week. Bam! Bjorn, you're right at the start, and hey to you to Celtic King. Yes, all in on the start. And yet again, I'm going on a live stream just after news of a nasty terrorist incident in England. That's depressing as hell, isn't it? How often that's happening. Although there will be people in other parts of the world going, oh, not as depressing as the shit that happens to us every day. And I understand that. I really do. And understand the link between the two as well. But yes, wow, world's full of assholes, isn't it? It's like every time something awful happens, whether it's on a really small scale or it's on a much larger scale through terrorism or some other form of conflict, I just think like people go, oh, I'll never understand how someone can do this. How does someone target civilians? How does someone target children? I go, well, you just need to start with the understanding that people are essentially fucked. And people will find an excuse to do whatever they want. Biori, look, yes, you're right that it won't go away, that we can work on reducing how often bad things happen and the severity. Rose, I did see at least some of Pauline Hanson's tweets on it, which were predictably reprehensible and missing the point. There's nothing really quite like vile, shit-eating, politically motivated people exploiting the death of others to push their own barrow. It's really pretty fucking vile when you see it in action. They are absolutely shameless. And look, in events like this, it's usually right-wingers who are doing I'm going to use these deaths to push my agenda. It's not like left-wingers are immune from doing it either. That's why when I'm making videos like, I'm going to make a totally fucked up Friday, what'll I do? Kevin Logan, you love me because I'm a glorious bastard. Thank you. Oh, Rose, I don't think people like Pauline Hanson and other right-wingers who exploit tragedies like this, I don't think they secretly like it. I think they outwardly like it. I think they revel in the fact that they get to push their agenda, and they literally don't care at all for the victims of terrorism or violent conflict anywhere in the world. They only care about their agenda, and they are fucking vile and reprehensible. They're absolute scum. I really have no time for it all. And just seeing also on Twitter some of the American conservatives just saying weird shit. Like this fucking moron from Fox News, Lou Dobbs, going, oh no, London and England, they're losing their will to live. It's like, you've not actually met someone from London, have you, Lou? You just are a weak, pathetic, vapid old man who shrieks at shadows, and you actually don't understand other people. And it's just fucking awful. Oh, and that awful fucking shit-stained Tommy Lauren, or whatever her name is, said in Twitter something along the lines like, see, leftists, this is what we're fighting while you're fighting the weather. To which I want to make a few points. First, the one that I've already made, your vile, reprehensible scum chewing up these dead bodies for your agenda. Second, I can hold two thoughts in my head, in fact, more than two. So addressing one issue that's vitally important actually does not stop me from addressing another important issue. And third, when you go, the weather, you're being a climate change denier, I assume. And point one, weather and climate are two different things. I get that you are far too fucking stupid to understand that, and you're willfully ignorant and proud of your fucking ignorance, but I can't hold back from pointing out weather and climate are two different things, you fucking moron. Yes, and you could even hold up, like, if I could only stop one, if I could only stop terrorism, which is awful, or climate change, which has an incredibly high risk of being utterly catastrophic to the continued existence of human society, and unless radical steps are taken, will probably, at minimum, kill millions of people and devastate the world economy and cost trillions and trillions of dollars to recover from, I think I'd actually choose climate change over terrorism, because terrorism is bad, whereas climate change is an existential threat to the continued existence of humanity. And I don't fucking care. I do not fucking care if you're the sort of ignorant piece of shit who denies science and says, no, it's not. You're fucking beneath contempt. The instant you go, yeah, look, I know the scientists and know what they're talking about and spent decades studying this and analysing the patterns and know what there's about, but I have a feeling, okay? I have a feeling this isn't important. Fuck you. Alright. So someone's asking, what's this about? My light is really playing up. That is going to be a massive pain in the ass. Hey, look, maybe I'll leave the screen for 5 seconds and go and get another light, because I picked the wrong one. I picked the dodgy one. I thought I picked the one that wasn't working. It'll only take me like less than 60 seconds to switch lights. So I'm going to do that, and so you'll get the empty expanse of my kitchen for 60 seconds while I go and get it. See, I promised I wouldn't take long. Hope you all had fun talking amongst yourselves while I was gone. I'll never actually know. No one apart from you guys who are live will know what happened there. Thank you, philosopher. I am in fact back. So, that's the interesting nature of these live streams. While I do put them up on my YouTube channel so people can watch them later, the live chat doesn't get recorded on the video, I am reliably informed. And so that's ephemeral. That if you're here at the point, you get to experience it and then it's gone. It's a little bit of magic that just there and it's gone. Rose Green, do they know who did the attacks? Ugh, some worthless shit-eating losers who are going to say it's to the glory of the Islamic State. I mean, some utter fucking garbage pieces of shit. Yeah, I have nothing but contempt for people who do that. Yeah, let's slag Bill Maher for a while. I see the comments going by about people saying used to be fans. He was a gateway, edgy atheist. The funny thing, if you just looked at it on paper, lot of Bill Maher's views, political views, and mine on paper, there would be a lot of correlation, like far more agreement than disagreement. And because, he does the comedian commentary from the lefty perspective, and so do I. A lot of people assume I like Bill Maher, and he's a fucking piece of shit. He's so creepy. I hated him for years. The one thing that I don't like is smug. It's something I really try not to be. I'm sure some people think I am. Fuck those people, they're stupid. Irony, do you get that? But Bill Maher's whole thing is smug, and everything about him gives me the creeps. He's just like a rampant sexist prick. He's in the shit now because when someone talked about him being a slave out in the fields, he went, "Oh, I'm a house nigger." And because he said that, it's like, no, you don't get to say that. And while I don't think the phrase itself and the context that he said it in is racist, I think he's racist. I think he's shown again and again. He uses his atheism as a shield for very clear, obnoxious bigotry, and he's just a creep. And I think he is racist. I'm not saying, haha, because he said that phrase, he is a racist. No, I think you look at everything about him. I think you look at all the stuff he says and the way he behaves and his superior attitude. He's racist as fuck, that guy. Hey, Micra, how's it going? So, and on top of that, he's really sleazy. Like, he's so creepy. You're saying he was gay. Well, he pathologically tries to cover it if he is, because he's always talking about having sex with sex workers. But his sexuality is neither here nor there. He's a horrible, creepy person. And that's on top of, I just dislike him and his attitude. But although it's really shallow to point it out, I find his look really gross and slimy and off-putting as well. And I think it expresses what's inside him really well. It's like, if you cast someone as a serial child sex offender in a movie and had them look like Bill Maher, I'd say your casting was really lazy and you're just going for a stereotype. Like, oh, you think all sex offenders are gross, slimy, greasy pieces of shit like that, and that's a dangerous stereotype to push forward. But that is what he looks like, quite honestly. Yahweh is a real estate agent in his areas, the universe. But does he do rent control? That's what I want to know. Does Yahweh limit the amount of rent increases? Oh, I think there's a possum running over my roof, or in my roof. I need to talk to seeing we're talking about real estate agents, I need to talk about the possums that periodically live in a roof. Watch Bill Maher to watch him get owned by Glenn Greenwald or Tom Morello. So, okay, Chapman, you're not going to help. Yahweh's not going to help with my house issues. That's disappointing. Yahweh's dropping the ball there. I think the flood was his form of rent control. It's a form of population control is what it was. Yahweh should like my house because the owners of my house are obviously very devout Jewish people, because every door frame in the house has one of those little things with a Torah scroll in it. Like there's a little prayer on it. Someone had it explained to me, this particular bit in the Torah. Thoughts on population control? Well, see, it's awkward. You could argue all you like that the world population should be lower, but who gets to decide which population goes away? It's just basically, I feel like, as soon as someone says, should take out a percentage of the world's population, you can tell what sort of person they are by who they should do it. And by population control, I don't mean birth control. I mean people who actually talk about exterminating parts of the population. I think birth control should be incredibly widely available. The idea of limiting it is actually ridiculous. You raise a good point, Peter. Resource control is a much bigger issue than population control. But then again, humans have shown you can't do that without totalitarian control, and humans have also shown they eventually rebel under totalitarian control, even if they go with it for all, even if people actually like having, a supreme ruler who tells them what to do. And there's lots of periods in history, including the modern day, where there is a population that is pretty okay with an autocratic ruler setting all the rules. Jatma, you're drinking wine this evening and you never drink. Why is that? Philosopher, what's the right number of kids? There is the theory that in poorer areas people have more kids because they're more likely for their kids to die and they need someone to support them in their old age. But I'm not sure how accurate it is. Ooh, we're drinking a classy drink, a 2013. Not straight from the cask then. Okay, I can see I've got a high-class audience in tonight. I'm going to have to pick up my game, that we're not just drinking goon. Okay, well, that's good to know. Philosopher, the lack of access to birth control does, in fact, cause unnecessary population control. I would agree with you. But humans are a complex thing. Right number of kids for you is a cat or dog. That's okay. Yeah. Oh, Joe, your mum opened the wine and asked you to finish it. That's a good excuse. Rose, I think you're right that it's a stereotype. And people generally are very quick to have stereotypes of different cultures. That's why I said the thing about having kids look after you with a disclaimer. That I'm not sure how accurate that really is. Shetma. No, see, I don't agree with more cats and dogs, less humans, Shetma. I think if you were going to have a pet, have a native animal as a pet. Philosopher, there are a couple of good organisations out in the world who do help with both birth control and general health improvements in a lot of countries that have historically had trouble with that. There's promising signs. A lot of diseases that used to be very widespread are very close to being wiped out. There's some good being done in the world. So, heaven forbid that humans occasionally get stuff at least partly right. It's like one of my lefty mates having a spray about Bill Gates the other day, like, the Bill Gates Foundation, he's just trying to assuage his guilty conscience, he's evil and stole all this money, he shouldn't have all those billions. I go, well, look, that is one way of thinking of it, but the fact that he is ploughing all of those billions into charitable works and science and medicine and all that sort of thing, if you look at it another way, what Bill Gates did, yes, he held on to that money for a long time and lived a quite lavish life, but you could also look at it, what he was doing was one of the biggest bits of corporate tax collection in history. Like, he raked in those billions of dollars from all the companies around the world who pay for Windows and whatnot, and now that's all going into charitable works. So he basically got governments, yes, you need to get something, you can come in and get, I'm in the kitchen, someone in the house wants to come and get, no, you're just going to hide, fair enough. It's here. Just come and get it. There's a cup of tea sitting here. Look, okay, she's too, I don't know why, she's too tall. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go, there's a cup of tea. You don't want to go that door. because then you could have gone and stayed out of camera the whole time. But that's okay. I just had to help Mrs. M angry get her cup of tea. She's off doing some study while I do this. Then we're going to watch Doctor Who later. Hey, look, I saw someone ask the inflammatory question: do I believe in abortion? And well, I could take the piss and say something. Well, I believe it exists. I am an extremely vocal advocate for free and open access to abortion everywhere for anyone who wants it. And, you know, the whole moral argument, oh, the unborn baby, I'm going to just not even equivocate. I don't fucking care. Yes, I'll let other people make the argument that's not a baby, that's something that's just existing inside the woman. You know what? And the scale of things that are wrong with the world, abortion is a net positive, okay? It's very important in the overwhelming majority of cases for the women who get it. All the stories about women who use it for convenience and instead of birth control and they're responsible is almost always a fucking lie. The fact that anti-abortion activists just fucking lie non-stop, I don't pay any attention to them at all. But, you know, if someone wants to have a deep philosophical question about the moral thing, I don't fucking care, okay? At the end of the day, I think that's less of an issue than the problems caused by abortion not being available. So I am a very vocal advocate for free and open access abortion to women all the time, everywhere. Peter Thrupp, I'm sure Louis C.K. was funny when he talked about abortion. He is funny on most things. I have not seen that particular bit from his most recent special though, so. I'm a big Louis C.K. fan, actually. Rose Gower, by most people's standards, I'm a raving lefty. I've never actually been a member of any lefty political party, whether it's mainstream like Labour or the Greens or Socialists or Communists, because I've never yet seen a political party where I wouldn't end up having a problem running in and butting heads with someone saying, no, I refuse to toe the party line on that. I disagree with you and think that's wrong. And I'm not going to be quiet about the fact I think that's wrong. And then you just get in all these shit fights in the little political party. So that's why I've never joined a political party. Yes, the idea that even in Australia and Queensland and other places abortion is illegal makes me sick. The idea of abortion being illegal makes me sick. It's a travesty and a crime against humanity. And I will, without blinking, say every argument that anti-abortionists use is bullshit. The majority of them are just outright lies. And like I said, if you want to have the philosophical conversation about, oh, where does life begin? I'll cut that in. I just don't fucking care. Jahatma, it is a conservative Christian state. Well guessed. That's why. Queensland is Australia's Alabama. So, or more like my Florida. It's where the old people go to retire. Rose, how do we justify not having marriage equality through ignorant bigotry and lies? Again, actually, I'll put that on the same token. There is no justifiable reason whatsoever for not having marriage equality. It is, every argument is bullshit. Even the religious thing doesn't hold up. Unless you're an Orthodox Jew who follows all the rules in the Old Testament, saying, oh no, it's against our religion. Well, you made up that it was against your religion, okay? You, even in the book of fiction known as the Bible, what did Jesus say about homosexuality? Nothing. You'd think if it was a mortal sin, it would be in there, right? You'd think if he thought they deserved death and torture, he would have mentioned it in passing once, right? Even with all the hedging and scamming and double dealing about, you know, the Bible being written over a couple hundred years after the events it depicts. And they never even slipped in, oh, by the way, the gays. Me, Jesus, I hate the gays. It's not in there. How big a deal could it actually be? Rose is saying Turnbull sort of swept it away. Turnbull is a snivelling, gutless coward who's sucking up to people who hate him, the extreme right of his own coalition, under the mistaken idea that they'll like him, and they still don't. Ooh, next associated topic, euthanasia. Look, I, again, am in favour of people with terminal illnesses being able to choose their method of passing, because we condemn so many people to long, drawn-out, painful deaths. Oh, Peter, you visited Melbourne. Melbourne's a fine city. I grew up in the country, and I so don't want to live in the country anymore. And I lived in Sydney for 10 years and had fun, but I've been in Melbourne for like 20 years, and I really like living here. It is a fine city. I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, euthanasia, and this gets touchy. And I see one of the key things where a lot of people get touchy about it. I mean, there's a few things that people are touchy. Some people just think you can't ever make that decision. But what some people worry about is, but what evil doctors who then decide, that patient wanted euthanasia, I actually just want their organs. And people are worried about, doctors killing. Big bad ads. Bill Maher, Democratic shill. Well, depends which Democrat you're talking about, big bad ads, because one of his many failings is being a nasty sexist shit. Evil Harb, hello there, how you going? Oh, Micro, you want to come to Australia? Look, come on a holiday sometime. It's well worth it for a holiday. It's interesting for both Americans and people from England, Scotland, Ireland, particularly Caucasian people from America or England. It's like, well, you're white, you're English speaking, broadly the same culture, you might fit within. But people who from those places that are very similar, they notice the little differences and they find them really jarring, because there are. Jenny, you sexualize your boyfriend. You should be sorry. I'm sure your boyfriend really hates being treated like an object. That's just not on. The idea that someone that you're intimate with being sexualized, I'm sure that's against God's word. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere. Dress him up in a hijab. That's kinky. See, okay, do you want to throw this in? But we all talk about, everyone's got their own thing. Some people are very vanilla. Some people are extremely kinky. Some people, very here and there. But there's nothing that people can't do as a kink. Like, I know a non-Muslim female who has a fetish about hijabs, which is like, the garment of modesty. She finds the fact that it hides everything really sexy, like anything could be happening. So it's just like, there's nothing that people can't turn into a kink. And I think that's a big strength of humanity, quite honestly. So, but I have to admit, that one surprised me a bit, because I don't think it's weird, as in like, oh, that's a really weird kink, but it's really interesting that someone's taken the garment of modesty and that's a thing that they get a turn on at. But then again, I suppose there's a weird thing where people have a nun fetish as well. That's almost, it's the forbidden fruit. It's like, ooh, you can't have it, and so then you really, really want it. Wow, that is evil Harb. You had a friend who had a fear of little people, so someone got her a little stripper for a birthday and she ran out screaming. I would rank that as messed up on multiple levels. I mean, what if they were arachnophobic? You're gonna have a cake for their birthday, and instead of a stripper popping out, 100 spiders pop out? I just think that was a bit irresponsible, quite honestly. Call me a prude, but if someone doesn't like it, and then I'll also go to, what, you have a problem with little people? What the fuck is up with you? Why would you do that? People. But, there's no telling what happens to people. Invested money in the prank, should have gotten a blown up midget doll. Oh God. James, you're saying you're arachnophobic and a spider cake would freak you out. I think a spider cake would freak out almost anyone, no matter how cool they were with spiders. If your birthday cake came out and it burst apart and spiders poured out, yeah. Who do asexuals love? That's an interesting question, Jenny. I'm not 100% sure what you mean with, you said something about asexuals and then you need dick in your life. I don't understand. You're saying you're asexual, but you still want opposite gender person in your life, which again, completely legit. I just didn't completely understand what you're saying. James, I think personal descriptions of sexuality are vary and not absolutely cut and dry. And someone go, oh no, heterosexual means one thing. Well, no, a lot of people who say, when they say they're heterosexual, that can mean a lot of different things. Some people, it might literally mean all it requires is someone to be the different gender and I'll go for them. But other people won't, well, I'm a guy who likes women, but I like women who look like this, or I have this parameter for the women. So even something that sounds vanilla, like heterosexual, can mean a lot of different things. Evil Harb. Yes, I'm still in online contact with Corey. Yeah, he's had a lot happening in his life last couple of years. Moved from California to Alaska, got married, has a baby. She took her first steps. That was so exciting. He posted a video this week of little Chell taking her first steps. Now they're moving again. It would be really cool. I would like to get Corey and his family to come out for a family holiday. Anyway, James, well, you're saying asexuals don't have sex as much as other people. So again, that's a personal thing. Different people who describe themselves as asexual would be very different. Some people, that literally means I have no interest in sex. I have no interest in intimacy. But it can mean a lot of different things to different people. Thank you for asking, Rose, how was my day today? It was a Sunday, and although it's early winter here and it was a little bit cold, the sun was out. It was really quite pleasant. So at lunchtime, I went out for a walk with Mrs. Angry. We went to a cafe for lunch, then we walked around a park. It was really quite pleasant. Have I talked to Azy? Yes, I've talked to Azy. I haven't seen him face to face for a little while, but we stay in regular contact. I like to know he's not dead. I have to warn him every now and then that if I don't hear from you for a while, I start to wonder if you're dead, because that's a thing that could easily happen. So I have to remind him to stay in contact so I can be sure he's not dead. Last I heard, not dead. So, that's thumbs up. Azy, still above ground. I have a mental thing where if I see someone with their eyes closed, lying down, I need to check if they're alive. Okay, that could cause problems. Hey, Aussie Brick Chick. Rose, why would he die? Because he has 10 different chronic illnesses, one of which could kill him. Evil Harb. Oh, I'm really glad the videos help. I mean, the videos help me. That's one of the big things I do because they're fun. And while, I'd like to be a great big famous YouTuber and making all that YouTube money off my videos, I just do it for myself as much as anyone. And so I really like that when I do really personal stuff, people like it. Been a problem since your puppy died. Oh, you hassle sleeping puppies? Because I understand the whole trauma of your own pet dying, but that's how to be really unpopular with dogs and cats. When they're asleep, wake them up and go, please be okay. They're just going to say, what is your problem, dude? What the fuck is your problem? Yeah, look, we're all offering each other that comment someone just said about a mental health plan from a GP. That's an Australian thing. Yes, if you are having problems and you talk through it with a GP can draw up a mental health plan, and you get 10 Medicare covered psychologist or counsellor sessions, which is really good. On a serious note, am I wearing pants? Yes, Daniel, I've had to get up twice while the video's on, so everyone would know if I wasn't wearing pants. And I am, in fact, wearing pants. There has been evidence I've had to get up twice in this video, so... Well, you know, pants free is one thing. I mean, I think I have made... Or Joe Hatmer, you think you might have forgotten, or you blanked it out of your memory because it was so horrible. Dealing with mental health issues, treatment in the UK, and the way the system classes, Evil Hub. Yeah, look, even in Australia where it's relatively good, getting the right help with mental health issues can be really hard, and it's just. It's on top of all the struggles you're facing when the system is screwing you over as well. It can be so hard. And I really feel for you. You've got to really stick with it sometimes. And in fact, it's not even just mental health, it's other health issues sometimes. Like you're being held down by physical health issues, and the system that's supposed to help you drags you through so much other crap. And usually not maliciously, but sometimes it feels malicious, and it just makes your life so much harder. It's like AIDSy. Yes, Evil Hub. We like the South Park joke about people I don't like. N blank GGERS. The answer, of course, is naggers. But yes, already had the little rant about Bill Maher. Dog had a cone of shame after surgery after another dog bit him, slept in front of the door during the corridor. Was the dog really feeling the shame? One day I had to step over him because he didn't move. A few years later, he had a commotion. Oh, wow. Okay. Thanks for the depressing story, Biori. I mean, share with the group. Sharing often helps you out, but yes, okay, your dog just died. Downer, dude. Now, both my cats are asleep on air vents. I assume they're just asleep and not getting cooked alive. So I've tried to have a word with them and saying sleeping right on top of air vents is probably not good, but they're doing it. Patriotic Australian wants a job interview advice. That's interesting because I do a lot of job interviews because I'm a contractor. And so often I only stay in a job for 6 months. Maybe current job I'm staying in forever. Like I've been there 18 months and they're giving me another 6-month extension. So I'll be there till at least the end of the year. So it'll be 2 years by the time it wraps up. And it might even go longer than that. But often I've had as many as 3 or 4 jobs in a year. And when I'm back out in the market, usually I have to go to more than one job interview. And so I've been to so many over the years. I've probably been to like 10 times more job interviews than most people go through. So I can actually give you tips, and I'll give you what will sound like a weird one, but it honestly works. Because even after all my time with the job interviews, I still get nervous because you got to put yourself out to people. Pardon me. I forget who taught me this trick, but it really works. It's an affirmation, and it's not, I'm going to get this job. It's just before you go into the interview, you say to yourself, they love me, they love me, they love me, they love me, over and over, just they love me, they love me. And it's really weird. You're not really fooling yourself, but it puts you into a positive space of, I'm going into a room with people who really like me. And for me, it's probably not going to work for everyone, But for me, it just really drops the stress levels, and I can smile. People love it in job interviews if you smile and look relaxed. And when I walk in and I see them, whether it's one person, two people, or a panel, I just go in there, this is cool because they love me. And it really helps relate to the person, because you go, that's okay, I can talk to this person because they love me. It's weird how well that works. It won't necessarily work for everyone, but it does work for me. Affirmations are really weird like that. Sounds like Darren Brown self-hypnosis. Look, there's a whole range of things, whether you call it self-hypnosis or just doing affirmations. And there's other full-on stuff that I've talked about that I've actually done in videos, EFT or tapping, and another sort of psychology counseling treatment called EMDR. Basically, your brain's really easy to trick or distract. So if you're stressed or nervous about a job interview, it's good to find something that works for you to basically distract your brain from the stress and the nervousness, because there are a lot of ways to do it, and it really makes a very big difference. Rose, your first job was a witch. Okay. Matt Thomas, long time no see. Good to see you again. Peter, look, I honestly can't validate smoke cones before a job interview because people can tell, quite honestly. And even if they can't tell, you'd get paranoid and think they could tell. Your first job was washing dogs. I think, Rose, you asked, is the job market more difficult than it used to be? And the short answer is yes, not least because competition is so goddamn fierce these days, and people are always undermining job security these days as well. It's much more cutthroat. There's much more really qualified people going for jobs these days. And it is definitely tougher. It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely tougher trying to break into the job market now than it has been in the past. I mean, the plus side is, while, the whole thing about is something a negative or a positive, to a large extent that does depend on your outlook and how you do things. Like rapid technological change and social change has made quite an upheaval in the job market. So stuff that used to be stable and job for life isn't now, but you can use that to your advantage as well. Be a market disruptor. If really there's a lot of disruption in the job market, find a way to take advantage of. There are thousands of jobs today that didn't exist even 5-10 years ago. I think it is easier to self-make yourself now than it is past. Let's go with positives. I think the internet and technological change has made it easier for you to be self-made now than it ever was in the past, whatever the field is. It's like YouTube made it easier for people to make money for performing to an audience, because prior to YouTube, there was a barrier to entry. There were gatekeepers on the radio stations, the TV stations, movie studios, book publishers. There were all these gatekeepers, and there was a massive barrier to entry. Now, there's no barrier to entry. You can do virtually anything. It's just a question of reaching an audience, which is not always easy. But if you are good and you work hard at what you do, the opportunity is there. Peter, you make a good point that you do need capital to keep afloat. Video dude, would I like to meet Charles Manson? No, because I find Charles Manson boring. I know a lot of people get fascinated with serial killers and whatnot. It's just serial killers and cult leaders are narcissistic wankers. Olivia, fuck Centrelink. Yes, I agree with you. Centrelink tricks you. Again, video dude, Ivan Milat. Again, just an asshole, just a piece of shit, a narcissistic piece of shit who had a need to have control over other people. And of course, the ultimate control is killing people. No, serial killers and tyrants and psychopaths, they're just narcissistic pricks. There's this whole mystique around them that they're interesting and whatnot and wacky. It's like, no, they're just pricks. And there's a million people I want to meet before I want to meet someone who's that sort of a prick. It's kind of like in fiction, people have this idea that there are criminal masterminds, and they're not. Most criminals are fucking idiots or make really bad decisions. They're just ruthless. A successful criminal is not likely to be any sort of genius. A successful criminal is just likely to be ruthless. So that whole fictional thing in books and movies and TV shows of, the criminal mastermind, the serial killer weaving a web. No. The reason cops have trouble catching serial killers is because there's just so many murders happening. Do I like the ABC? I think the ABC is an indispensable positive to Australia. Having grown up in the country, no one gives a shit about you, but you always have the ABC. The commercial media don't give a shit about you in the country. If they can't make money from you, they'll dump you. But the ABC's there for you. I think the ABC is of such overwhelming value to Australia culturally and socially and economically. It needs to be preserved. I'm recording Doctor Who, so I won't be running off straight away. Peter, you hit the nail on the head. Do I watch Q&A or do I avoid it to avoid throwing things at the TV? I avoid it to avoid throwing things at the TV because I find them so fucking annoying. So I almost never watch Q&A because it's so aggravating. Honestly, talking about, made jokes about, who deserves to be taken out and whatnot. Seriously, if I had godlike smiting powers, we were talking about population control before. If I had godlike smiting powers, about a third of the world's population would be gone in a week. I'd start with the really obvious ones, the terrorists and the warlords, the murderers and the rapists. And by the end of the week, I'd just be killing people who pissed me off, quite frankly. It would get pretty ugly until the world learned they need to get no. Adam, do I think same-sex marriage will happen in Parliament or referendum? It needs to happen through an act of Parliament. The idea of a referendum, we see the sort of hateful rhetoric that would be generated. It's absolutely clear a significant majority of Australia thinks that marriage equality should just happen. And the idea of a plebiscite or referendum is just an excuse to delay and giving a voice to sick, evil, hateful people, which would put gay people's lives in danger. It's fucking sick and wrong. Thanks, video dude. Bye. What do you think is hypocritical, Rose? I'm interested in exploring this idea. I hope you find your future hubby, Jahama. I think everyone deserves happiness. The reason I oppose like a plebiscite or a referendum is just because it's pointless. Parliament's meant to pass laws, and any sort of public debate would be used by awful, hideous, hateful people who are doing it now, even without it, but this would give them free license to spread lies and hate. The loudest voices of the opponents to marriage equality are hideous, sick, hateful people. Keiko, no, same-sex marriage still not legal in Australia. RC, you're right, that's the reactionary rump, and the problem is Turnbull's a spineless coward. State sovereignty. Oh, the federal government changed the Marriage Act in the 90s, so there was an explicit reference to marriage is between a man and a woman, because prior to that, that wasn't explicitly stated in the Marriage Act. So if the fucking government can make it explicitly between a man and a woman without a referendum or a plebiscite, the government can make it open to everyone without a fucking plebiscite. Everything about the anti-marriage equality argument is hypocrisy and bullshit. I mean, seriously, it wasn't that long ago that mixed race marriages were illegal. And it's the same fucking people who are promoting the same fucking reasons who said that there shouldn't be any race mixing. So I have no time for it at all. Adam, you're having a citizenship ceremony in July. Good for you. I hope that's good for you. Keiko, I agree. Why do people care when it doesn't affect them? It's like, okay, you're opposed to gay marriage, then don't get gay married. You're opposed to drug legalization, well, don't do drugs. You're opposed to sex work decriminalization, then don't go to a sex worker, okay? If someone can put a compelling case of this is safer and better for most people, that's cool. That no one's making you do it. Philosopher, I agree. That's not my core argument, but it's just I have such contempt for the opponents to these things that I just, don't expend a lot of mental energy on them, to be perfectly honest. Beans on toast. Okay, that probably means something, and I don't know what, but that's okay. So, yeah, I mean, it comes down to it that I have so little time for the opponents of marriage equality. I'm just hard pressed to argue anything beyond, well, it should be legal because fuck you, that's why. Big Bad adds, marry your cousin. I'm not sure what the law on cousins is in Australia. I'm not sure if that's law or just social convention, because that's not something I've looked into a bit. Remy, Peter Thrupp, I do not know Remy. I don't know everyone in the music world. Thoughts on marrying cousins? Wasn't it traditionally, marrying cousins became illegal because it caused inbreeding, it caused genetic defects, so it was trying to guard against things like that? I don't know. Whenever someone brings that up, all that pops into my head is the episode of The Simpsons where the pioneers split up, because one was Jebediah Springfield and the other one was Shelbyville, Manhattan, who just went out because he wanted to be allowed to marry his cousins. And Shelbyville, when they said, yes, now we're in a place where men can be free, and Shelbyville went, yeah, it's free to marry their cousins. And it's like, what? And there were just those running jokes about attractive cousins. And it was like, Jahatma, is Queensland Shelbyville? Well, the weird thing is, with Shelbyville, there was another episode of The Simpsons where Shelbyville was actually much more sophisticated than Springfield, and the people from Shelbyville made fun of people in Springfield all being hicks. So the Simpsons, they changed their reality to do whatever they want, which is fine. Hey, speaking of animated shows, is there an actual full new series of Rick and Morty, or was there just one episode? Philosopher, that's an interesting argument. If you oppose cousin marriage just because of genetic disorders, that's a form of eugenics. That's a way to get in and mess with people's heads. Look, now seem to be getting conflicting messages about Rick and Morty coming soon, or it's already a full series. See, I don't know, because I don't even know when it was. Is it Netflix? Rick and Morty's Netflix? Is it? Or who actually puts? And I don't get Netflix. Who actually runs Rick and Morty? Coming soon. Okay, there was a teaser episode. Okay, thanks, Joe. That's kind of what I thought it is. It's Adult Swim soon. See, if was it? I don't know who distributes it in Australia. Is it an offence to visit Damascus? I don't know. I've never heard that. Where does that come in? Wait, Damascus is in Turkey? Who would make it illegal? My knowledge of geography is shit. Peter Thrupp, you think cousins... Sorry, no, I just laughed. Because after saying I don't think cousins really do promote defects, but he's from Queensland, so what would he know? Damascus is in Syria. I told you that I don't know. Damascus is the capital of Syria? What a fucking head case am I? That was bad. That was so bad. I did actually say my knowledge of geography is terrible, but to actually think the capital of Syria was in Turkey? Oh my God, that's awful. Okay. At the moment, I think there are very severe travel restrictions to Syria, and it might make travel to Syria actually illegal in the majority of cases. Banana Man, the ABC should rebirth Banana Man to fight Rick and Morty. Well, that could work. What? Danger Mouse would be a good reboot, I think. I was always a bit of a fan of Danger Mouse. What other kids ones used to be on the ABC? Banana Man, Danger Mouse. There was a live action series of the Tick. It was actually pretty funny. It only lasted for one season. But it was pretty damn funny. Oh, Evil Harbour, you're right. I do actually remember now you bring it up. There was a reboot of Danger Mouse. I don't think it lasted very long, but it did exist. Fish farms at Okenhampton Bay. No, Rose, I have not heard of that. Feel free to tell me. Hey, look, I'll be a hipster about animated shows. One that only lasted for a season or two that no one tends to talk about is an English one called Bromwell High. It's fucking hilarious. It's like about a really shitty inner city school in London. And it's funny as fuck. Like very politically incorrect, very funny. But it's just bizarre. Like it centers on these girls at the school. And there's a black girl who's really stupid, Pakistani girl, white girl who's an incredible slut, and it's really funny. Have I seen Clone High? No, I don't know that one. But Bromwell High was just hilarious. It's so fucking wrong. And one of the teachers who was just a very bad man was voiced by Graham Garden from The Goodies, and he had one of my favourite lines in it after he'd been trying to make money by kidnapping someone and holding them for ransom. At the end of the show, when he's being arrested and shoved in a police van, he looks back in disgust and goes, "Kidnapping and extortion are illegal? This is political correctness gone mad." And I loved that so much. I think the only one who I know who the voice actor was besides Graham Garden, she's quite a famous stand-up comedian from England. But her best line is like the black girl and the Indian girl. And at one point when they're having a conversation and they're a disagreement, and the black girl says to the Indian girl, goes, "Shouldn't you be working in your dad's newsagent?" And the Indian guy says, "Yeah, shouldn't you be selling crack on the street corner, you slag?" And the black girl goes, No, it's Thursday. Shouldn't you be working in your dad's newsagent?" And she goes, "Oh fuck, I'm late," and runs off. Like, they were just always fucking with stereotypes. It was really fun. You've got to go, Rose. Thank you very much for taking part this evening. It was really nice to have you here, and I appreciate your contributions, as I do everyone. That's why I'm doing these, because I really enjoy the contributions from everyone and the interaction. find it very illegitimate. Clacks and Cow, an emoji test? What's an emoji test? I feel really disturbed. Oh my god, I saw a movie just today and I thought, like, you can tell this movie was a couple years old because they referred to an emoticon, not an emoji. It was the one that had Robert De Niro in it, playing a senior a senior intern, and someone referred to sending an email with an emoticon. And I went, wow, that really and the movie's only a couple years old, but it's like, that really dates you that you said emoticon and not emoji. I really enjoyed it, mate. It was kind of soppy and it fell into a few stereotypes, but I thought generally it was quite good. Oh yes, I did see the emoji episode of Doctor Who. It was not bad. Wasn't the best, but that whole thing that you had to stay happy around the robots, that was good, because it was such a comparatively innocent thing, but it had such potential for menace that if the robots thought you were unhappy, they would kill you. And how do you stay happy when you think the robots are going to kill you at any moment? That was a good bit of menace right there. Yes, the Frozen River Thames one's good. This season generally has been pretty good, and I'm hoping we get a lot more Missy as the season picks up, because I really like Missy. I think the other dude who played the most recent incarnation of the Master, John Sim, I thought he was good and I enjoyed it when he was there. And but Missy is so much better than the Master. I'm really looking forward to it. Yes, KK, you're right. John Sim played the Master, and he was good, and I enjoyed that. But Missy is just knocking it out of the park. Missy is such a good character. And because it holds that whole thing, the Doctor and the Master are mortal enemies, but they're childhood friends. No one is closer to the Doctor than the Master. And and then just changing the gender, making it actual. I love how this newer version of Doctor Who has made it canon that a Time Lord regeneration can change both race and gender. I think they've kind of suggested a Time Lord is innately a particular gender, but they can physically change. They can have the physical characteristics of the other gender, although it probably varies from Time Lord to Time Lord as well. There was that good character. I'll stop it, Jeremy. Now you know I'm bad at bloody geography. What's the capital of Israel? It's not Jerusalem, is it? It's Tehran? I don't know. Fuck. No, that's it. That's Iran. Why did I say Iran's capital? Oh my God. Tel Aviv. Is it Tel Aviv? Yes. That would get me into so much trouble because I live in a really Jewish neighborhood, and if someone's saying like, oh yes, we went to Israel last summer, and I went, oh, did you go to Tehran while you were there? Fucking what? Oh, speaking of which, this is how super Jewish my neighborhood is. There's a cafe down the corner where I went to lunch today, and they're clearly kosher. They don't do bacon. And so their version of a BLT, instead of bacon, is brisket. They do this really thinly sliced crispy brisket, and I wanted to try it. So I actually had this thing with Turkish bread and a really nice tomato sort of jam, and so I had fried eggs and tomato and brisket. And it was like, smoked brisket, bacon smoked meat, brisket smoked meat, and it was really nice. But so their BLT is brisket, lettuce and tomato. So there's like a little thing. There's two cafes on the same block, and they're both run by, I think, people from Israel, actually, from their accents, the people behind the counter. But one of them does bacon. Like the other one, I had a burger there that had bacon, but one of them is kosher. Like they're very serious about it. Like they closed for a week during Passover, and they don't serve bacon, so they're serious about it. Jewish deli incident. We're working one in London, fancied a bacon sandwich. You can't get that in a Jewish deli. It's like there was a Jewish pizza shop where I used to live. It was like, I'm going to wind them up one day by asking for a ham and pineapple pizza. They'll beat me up and throw me out. But I never actually did it. Oh, philosopher, I never liked raw tomato. If you've ever seen, I did one live thing with a thing called tapping, EFT, that has a lot of uses. And one thing, it can change your eating habits. And like a year ago, I didn't eat raw tomato, onion, capsicum, carrot, cucumber. And we did a live thing the other day where I did it with tuna because I didn't like tuna. I thought tuna was gross. And you do this tapping thing and it changes your taste. And now I eat tuna. I eat raw tomato. Even the sandwiches, I make sandwiches at work for breakfast and lunch. I get a baguette from this bloody street stall from a bakery where they make really nice bread. And from the supermarket, I get tomato, capsicum, onion, mushroom, and cheese. And I cook up a sandwich in the sandwich press at work. And everyone's really jealous. They think I'm like a master chef. Okay, tapping, Keiko. Okay, so obviously people here didn't see me do that. There's a technique used in psychology. Some people asked, what's Mrs. Angry studying? She has a degree. She's a psychologist counsellor. She works for the public health department. And she's studying up on two new techniques. One's called EMDR. The other one's called EFT. So there's at least two channels on my, two videos on my channel where I do it. But basically it's called, EFT is also called tapping because you tap. You talk about what you're doing, like, I don't like tuna, it's really gross and awful, it's disgusting, I don't want to eat it. And then you do this here, and it's a series of, they are actually acupressure points. You do here and here and here and here and here and here and up here. And it sounds weird, right? Every time I do it, like when I've done it in the video, I say, look, I don't hold it against anyone who thinks this is really weird and thing, but there is really serious study being done in various universities, and they have actually shown it's not placebo effect. You should dress as a clown and go to Melbourne and clown around. Well, you could. Lots of funny things happen in Melbourne. But yeah, EFT is also known as tapping because you tap these various things. And it basically, I know I haven't actually read the treatises on how it works, but I think it's basically because the physical aspect makes your brain think about it differently. Oh, Patriotic Aussie asking the tough questions about will Israel give citizenship to people in the West Bank. That reminds me of, in the last election, I got called for a phone survey, and in the electorate where I lived, one of the people standing was Jewish, and there had been some anti-Semitic things done against them. And one of the questions in the phone survey was, do you support Israel? And I went, that's too ambiguous a question. What does that mean? And good to see you, Ira Moser. I said, because that can mean a lot of different things. It's like, do I support the right of the state of Israel to exist? Yes, I do. Do I support all the actions of the Israeli government, particularly in relation to the occupied territories? No, I fucking don't. Okay? So that question, do I support Israel, is far too ambiguous. I think, and look, this is not a black and white thing. I think anyone who says this good, this bad is glossing over the complexities there. But I think really bad things are done in the name of protecting Israel. But then again, when you are literally surrounded by people who want to wipe you out, and that is true. Anyone who denies that is just denying reality. The fact the state of Israel is surrounded by other nation states that would kind of like to wipe them out, that sort of thing can make you a bit crazy. So you got to cut them a bit of slack as well. Oh, and I did see Evil Hub pointing out Ireland's about to get a gay prime minister, and he's also half Indian. Mrs. Angry was telling me about this today. She was reading up on the BBC and said, hey, check this out. And it was interesting. Yeah, that is a very interesting thing. Ireland, the super Catholic country, obviously super white Catholic country, is going to have a half Indian gay prime minister. There aren't any Arab Christians. I don't know about that. Oh, you renounced your Israeli citizenship, Jenny. Well, good for you taking a stand. Yeah, there is very weird laws about sexual repression in Ireland. Not notably that they do have this is not about sexual repression, but they do have a blasphemy law on the books. Someone recently, I think, tried to test it by lodging a complaint against Stephen Fry for an interview he did years ago, where he basically said God's a bastard. If God exists, he said, I don't believe God exists, but if I came face to face with God, I'd say, fuck you, you bastard. I'm paraphrasing. But someone lodged, because it got screened in Ireland, and someone lodged a complaint under the blasphemy laws, and I actually don't think they were serious. I think they were trying to highlight that the blasphemy laws are stupid. But the Garda did investigate, and then they dropped it because they said no one gives a shit. So the blasphemy law, you can only prosecute if there are people who are sufficiently outraged, and honestly, no one really gives a shit. Adam, you're a Palestinian Christian. Oh, read about the peace incident. That's okay. I mean, we actually have a lot of migrants to Australia from Muslim majority countries who are Christian, like Coptic Christians from Egypt, etc., and Lebanese Christians and whatnot, because they had a hard time in their own country. They've come here. Because it's kind of funny. This is where bigots often fuck up, because they go like, oh, you're from a Muslim majority country, you dirty terrorist. And besides the fact that's a stupid stereotype anyway, you're actually picking on people who are very, 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 very opposed to Muslim extremists. Like picking on Sikhs just because they're brown-skinned people who are wearing turbans. And they're like, no, those dudes are light years away from it. Sorry, I just saw someone saying Lebanon had a Christian majority. I'd be prepared to be completely wrong about that. I think I already said my knowledge of geography is shit. I just know that most of the Lebanese people I know here are Christian. There's a lot of Muslim Lebanese here as well. I'm favourably disposed towards the Lebanese people because I'm a super fan of Lebanese food. One of my favourite cuisines. Can't get enough of it. Which you may argue is a very shallow reason to like people. But I like my food. What can I say? I like that whole feed where you get through the Middle East food going around to the Mediterranean, where it's the same sort of thing and it just gradually changes until the point where you get around to Italy. Italian food's super different to Lebanese food, but Italian food's a bit different to Greek, which is a bit different to, and you get this sort of sliding things around. Oh, you got a pizza coming, enjoy it. I was about to say I've already had dinner, but I haven't. I just had a big lunch and I'm not that hungry this evening, so I don't know if I'm even having dinner. I am going to, about basically, as soon as Mrs. Angry finishes what she's watching some lectures on the EFT that I was talking about on video for extra study. As soon as she's finished that, we're going to go and watch Doctor Who. Oh, Evil Harbour, if it's got pineapple, it's not a pizza. But that's one of the standard pizzas. Hawaiian, which is ham and pineapple. It's a salad. Well, tomato, salad, so it's like health food, basically. Pizza's health food because it's got salad on it. It's as simple as that. Why do people care? I don't care. Hawaiian, I don't mind. Look, I worked at Pizza Hut when I was at college. So you end up finding people who like really weird things. Like one of my co-workers, and I ended up agreeing with her, swore that potato salad on pizza is good. And this potato on pizza is really good. And you often get people who do gourmet pizzas will have a potato pizza and it's really good. Some people don't like avocado on pizza. I really like avocado on pizza. Some people don't like seafood on pizza. I think prawns on pizza can be good. What are some of the weirder toppings that I like? I just like pizzas with lots of cheese, quite honestly. But again, we're talking about not liking raw tomatoes. I never used to like onions or capsicum or stuff. Now I've done it. It's like I really like it on pizza, onion and capsicum on pizza, which is a fairly common topping. See, philosopher, that's the thing. Knowing in advance you won't like it. Oh my God, shrimp I'm fine with. Anchovies, I am still not okay with. That's probably the next tapping thing I'm doing with Mrs. Angry food-wise. Anchovies, because I think they're gross and disgusting. And I hate them so much. Oh, Scotland and deep fried stuff. Evil Harb. What deep fried things have? Because there's a few people. Yeah, Scotland is famous for deep frying everything and inventing the deep fried Mars bar. I have had a deep fried Mars bar. Was not good, honestly. Adam, would I consider becoming vegan? Look, I am thoroughly aware that I would be much healthier if I was vegan. I'm just really lazy. I probably could give up meat, but I don't think I could give up dairy. The idea of giving up cheese particularly, but ice cream, that I find really difficult to imagine giving up. Look, being a vegan is ecologically better, economically better, environmentally better, but I'm just really lazy. So, and I do like meat, and I particularly like cheese. Like I said, I could conceive of giving up meat, but giving up a dairy thing. Our philosopher talking about if you're a hardcore vegan, you won't have animal product, leather. Like, I'm not going to give up leather shoes and leather jackets and whatnot. I remember John Lydon from the Sex Pistols years ago, like back in the 80s, saying in an interview, like he was a vegetarian, and it was for political reasons, and he was wearing a leather jacket as he said it. And he goes, I know what you're going to say, I'm wearing a leather jacket, and that's hypocrisy. Well, cows are stupid and deserve to die. So that was his answer to the hypocrisy of the punk fashion of leather. He didn't have a problem killing cows because they're stupid. Which honestly, if that's your benchmark, you wouldn't have trouble killing a lot of people. And I think Johnny Rotten would be very vocal about that as well. If the animal died of old age or natural causes, surely you could just turn them into shoes then. Yes. There's always a loophole. You just wait for a cow to get hit by lightning and then you can have a barbecue. Perfect. There's always loopholes. Oh God, speaking about loopholes, and I always get a laugh out of particularly people who have religious guidelines that run their life, and they're always looking for fucking loopholes, as if it's gone, oh, our scripture says not to do that, but I worked out a loophole, so I'm fine. As if God exists, God's sitting up there in heaven and going, okay, I clearly told you not to do that. Oh, but you found a loophole in the wording. I better let you get away with it. I think God would be more angry about people who subvert the spirit of the law as opposed to the letter of the law. It's like you get some people, Christians, and we're talking about Catholic Ireland, where like contraception was illegal. You get people who won't use contraception while they're having their illicit sex because contraception is against their religious belief. The sex is against your religious belief. If you're having the sex, you should at least use contraception as well. The idea that you're having unprotected sex because you're not allowed to use contraception is fucking ridiculous. And as I said before, I live in a really Jewish area, and some people are very strict Orthodox Jews, and what a lot of people don't know, there are particular sects of Orthodox Judaism where the women aren't supposed to go out with their heads uncovered. Everyone knows that Muslims say that. What a lot of people don't know is there are Orthodox Jews who say the same thing. But what a lot of these women do is wear wigs. And I see that. And what they also do is wear really shitty wigs, so it's obvious that it's a wig and not their own hair. And I'm like, okay, you think that you're getting away with having exposed hair because it's a wig and not your natural hair, but I don't think it really works that way. I really don't. Oh, well, evil. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I can guess you're against Corbyn, evil half. Look, I don't know if you'll be PM. Yeah, and I also think, evil, you're not going to be surprised to know I'd prefer Corbyn as PM to the Tories, because that's just my politics. And look, I think it would be interesting. You know, we've got a fucking right-wing populist dickhead running things in America. It would be interesting to see what a left-wing populist did, and that's clearly what Corbyn is. He's an old-school lefty, and certainly doesn't play the Orthodox Party games. It would be kind of interesting to see. And even just politically, I'm a raving lefty. By most people's standards, I'm a raving lefty. But like I said at the start of the thing, I've just never been a member of a political party because there will always be a source of disagreement, and I just don't want to swallow it. RC, look, here's an interesting thing. He will be there. He's one of my UK friends who, for instance, was pro-Brexit. And also Frankie the Skin was another pro-Brexit person. And while I thought the loudest voices pushing for Brexit were fucking scumbags, that doesn't mean everyone who had views that they thought Britain should be out of the EU, that doesn't make them a bad person. I just think the loud voices who were the leaders of the Brexit campaign were evil, lying scumfucks. But not everyone who thought Britain should be out of the EU was an evil scumfuck. But my other mate, Frankie the Skin, is not just Brexit. He's a Thatcher-loving Tory, but really likes talking to people. So the fact that we're political opposites doesn't bother him at all because we can have dialogues. But he thinks, someone was just saying, can we agree that the current leader of the Tories, Theresa May, is a terrible campaigner? He thinks May is deliberately throwing it because she was anti-Brexit, but leading the Tories now, she's going to be in charge of administering Brexit, and she doesn't want to be. So she called the snap election, and she's being a shitty campaigner because she doesn't want to take responsibility for it, which is maybe not true. But he thinks May is so shitty, he's just not going to vote. Like, he can't bring himself to vote for Corbyn, but he's looking at the Tories and going, the Tories are so shit at the moment, I just don't want to endorse them. And that's really telling, that someone who's a die-hard, like Thatcher-loving Tory, thinks the current Tories are so fucking shit, he doesn't even want to endorse them. So, yeah. Voting is a national duty. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, patriotic Australian. I think what makes a bigger difference than voting is campaigning. Philosopher, you're correct, there are minor parties. I don't think he likes any of the minor parties either. I think he's just like a die-hard Tory, but he just thinks the Tories are so shit. He hasn't made a final decision on what he's going to do vote-wise, but he really thinks the Tories are shit at the moment, and Theresa May, he thinks Theresa May is deliberately throwing it. I'm assuming the question of if I'm a Republican just mean as an Australian. Do I think Australia should be a republic? Because it isn't at the moment. It's a constitutional monarchy. Technically, our head of state is the Queen, or the monarch of the United Kingdom is our head of state. Our Prime Minister runs the day-to-day government, but the actual sitting in head of state here in Australia is the Queen's representative, vice-regal representative, the Governor-General. So, and as I think I said this in the last live stream, for anyone who says, oh, it's not important, we've actually had a democratically elected government thrown out by an unelected representative of the Queen, November 1975. It's a serious fucking problem. I think the idea of a foreigner or the representative of a foreigner being our legal head of state is horseshit. I absolutely think Australia should be a republic. I think that doesn't have to end our ties with England, but I think there should be categorically, absolutely no constitutional recognition of any power from England having any influence of Australia. Patriotic Australian, why not have an Australian monarch? I think monarchs generally are absolute shit. I don't even think we need a presidential system. Like, a lot of people threw around the idea last time there was serious discussion about an Australian republic. Should we have a presidential system? I'm completely okay with parliamentary democracy, okay? You have two houses of parliament, you have the elections, the party or coalition that can form a majority government. The head of that party or coalition is the Prime Minister, who is the prime driver of policy of that government. I don't think we need another head of state like a president or a monarch. I just don't think it's necessary. And I mean, and other people disagree, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. Like, oh fuck yes, we should change the flag. Oh, 2 in a row, Big Bad Ads and Patriotic Australian. Should we change the flag? Yes, because the current, even just from a design perspective, the current Australian flag is fucked. It's so ugly. But yes, the Union Jack is on the flag, and there's no way, like, that's just recognizing our subjugation. We shouldn't have another nation's flag as part of our flag, and the design's just fucking ugly. Well, okay, would I like the Aboriginal flag? Just from a design point of view, the Aboriginal flag is a beautiful flag. I love that design. It's like black bar, yellow circle, red bar. Okay, Evan Centre or whatever that name is, Australians have dyed that flag. Bull fucking shit. That is not only a worthless, shit-eating, fucked up argument, it is factually incorrect. People don't die for the fucking flag. That is fucking horseshit, and that is worthless fucking garbage as an fucking argument. If you want to say soldiers died for anything apart from fucking imperialism, they die for fucking freedom, and freedom means changing the fucking flag if people want to fucking change it. Jesus H. Titty fucking Christ. That is such a fucking shit, worthless argument. Particularly stupid cunts who come out every Anzac to go, oh, the Anzacs, and they don't know the first fucking thing about what actually fucking happened in the Gallipoli campaign. They go, the Anzacs fought under the Australian flag at Gallipoli. No, they fucking didn't. The Australian flag never flew at Gallipoli. They fought under the British flag. Fuck that. It's like I said, it's not just a stupid, fucking, worthless, fucking shitty argument. It's factually fucking wrong. Oh man, yes, it's good, because I'm just about done now. So finishing with a good solid rant is a thing of beauty. I totally got triggered, Big Bad Ads. That is one of my triggers. Someone saying, people died for that flag. It's fucking horseshit. It's just... And what really bugs me is that it's factually wrong. It's philosophically wrong, but it's factually wrong. Let's be happy. A bowler's got to suck, right? Look, someone asked me this morning, earlier in this stream, when I mentioned something about AIDS not dead, they said, why would he be dead? He has had illnesses that have a higher fatality rate than Ebola. When he got necrotizing fasciitis, his particular mutation, which is really disturbing, Fournier's gangrene, has like a 95% fatality rate. Like, he had every doctor, every intern, every surgeon coming to see him because basically no one had seen someone alive who had this, because it tends to kill you really quickly. We should have... Patriotic Australian, you're just trying to bait me now. We should have God Save the Queen as our national anthem. I think our current national anthem's kind of shit. Advance Australia Fair is kind of boring. And I know some people have suggested Waltzing Matilda, which is a very weird song to suggest as an anthem. A song about a vagrant sheep stealer who dies and haunts everyone afterwards. That is an odd choice for an anthem. Yeah, eviscerator, land down under makes more sense to me. Men at work, you know, I said, do you speak in my language? He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. Look, Patriotic Australia, I'm in no rush to change the anthem because I think anthems generally tend to suck. So saying Advance Australia Fair sucks is not really that big an indictment because I think virtually everyone's national anthem sucks. I think that's almost a prerequisite when people line up and say, well, here are the contenders for the national anthem. And other people go, which one sucks the most from an artistic perspective? Let's pick that. That's the thing. Oh God, I random thought that I think is funny. It always cracks me up. It's like, we were talking before about should the Australian flag change? And I think it's a very ugly design just from a design perspective. You see I've got 5 dislikes from where... Oh, yeah, they don't actually show up on here. Look, some people just swan in to do something negative. It's funny, since the first couple, I've hardly had to kick anyone from the chat. It's like, obviously the first couple, there's some people who just didn't like me but hate watch me. And I had to kick them out because they were being dickheads. And I've hardly had any since then. It's like there was half a dozen dickheads and I got rid of them and now I don't get dickheads in the live stream, which is awesome. But, oh yeah, Bearing fans. I did do a whole video on how sad it is that I've got these people that I pay no attention to who make hate videos about me. I just find it fucking hilarious. But look, I was going to go, this is a random wacky thought. I'm going to finish on this because I'm going to go off and watch Doctor Who now. But a random wacky thought I've had. I think the Australian flag's ugly. And when you're a school kid and you have to draw the Australian flag or your country's flag for an assignment, it's like some flags are easier than others. Like, you know, the people who are just bars of colour, that's that easy. The Australian flag where you've got to put a Union Jack there and the stars, and I'm not very artistic, so I kind of fucked it up. And so my Australian flag on assignments was always really bad. But could you imagine the pressure on school kids from a Muslim country that has a verse from the Quran on the flag? Like if your calligraphy was bad and you accidentally made a bit look like a bad word because your handwriting was shit and you're trying to write a verse from the Quran on the flag and you get it wrong, what a really fucking strict schoolmaster would do to you. That's too much pressure for a school kid, isn't it? I mean, if you're just like artistically untalented like me, it's, you know, if you're from Australia, it means you're going to do an ugly version of the flag. But if you're from one of these countries that has a verse from the Quran on the flag, it's going to be blasphemous. You're going to be in so much shit. That's too much pressure to put on a school kid. Surely, that's just wrong. Putting a verse from the Quran on the flag, that's just wrong. That's too much pressure to put on school kids. So that's my problem with it. Not that I'm opposed to religion as such, even though I am, but it's just too much pressure to put on school kids. And look, don't undermine, you said you went to a Muslim school and no one cared. Don't undermine my jokes with reality, okay? I'm just speaking from pure ignorance, from a silly thought that popped into my head, and reality shouldn't get a look in. Mozambique has an AK-47 on the flag. That's a pretty good touch, quite honestly. But I mean, you know, maybe you could be, you could make a statement when you drew, if you're a school kid doing the flag and you don't do an AK-47. You know, I did a well for PPK because I'm a bit of a James Bond fan. And, you know, the AK-47's a bit, the Walther, that's like elegant. We should be a bit more stylish. The boot flag, yes, and change our denomination to the $. Okay, I really am going to go now, but I'm going to leave with an actual true story about Australian currency. Up until 1966, Australia's currency had the same name as England's currency, pounds, pennies, shillings, and all that shenanigans. and with the same ridiculous way for counting, like it wasn't decimal, it was the ridiculous way of counting currency as well. But in 66, we switched to decimal currency. And there was a big question on what to do it. Yes, there was a whole song about changing to decimal currency. And we ended up going with dollars and cents, which of course the US already had dollars and cents, and some other places do too. And there was a lot of debate. Like, a lot of people thought, oh, we don't want to just be the same as Americans. There was a few different proposals for the names of the currency. And I shit you not, that instead of dollar, one that was promoted was an abbreviation of the name Australia, Austral. So instead of $1, it would be an Austral, or 20 Australs. And I think there's somewhere in South America where the currency is actually called Australs as well. But anyway, so it would have been like, instead of $20, I'm giving you 20 Australs. That was seriously considered. And one of the reasons it was rejected, it's because kids would sound like, when they were saying an Austral, they would sound like they were asking for a nostril. You know, could I have a nostril, sir? And they just thought that would be too debasing. And, oh, evil, that is a beautiful way to round off, buddy. So after my thing with a nostril, yeah, be safe. We've all seen the terrible things that happen. Be good to each other. None of us know how long we've got in this world. So let's just do our best, you know, to do good things for other people and be a positive force in the world rather than negative. Because that's how you beat fuckwits who do things, who use violence and terrorism to promote their aims. You don't let them beat you. You continue to be positive. You have a good life. And goodbye, everyone. And I will see you again very soon. Just going to sign off, and bye now.